Hey guys, and welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe, and I'm joined by Nathan. And this week, we're talking all things Yu-Gi-Oh! That's right, we're going down the history of what we know of the series and just have a little discussion about it. How are you today, Nate?
I am ready to become the king of games.
He is ready to become the Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I am a Tem or Yami Nate. Because fuck Yugi, he's a nerd.
Oh man, yeah, because this is a little thing that we found out literally about a moment ago before recording, that Yu-Gi-Oh actually translates into Game King pretty much.
Yes.
So it's like it's the first I've heard of it, because I remember in the anime series, the 4Kids dub, you know, the intros, Yu-Gi-Oh! King of Games was in the intro song. But yeah, I've never just put two and two together. That I just thought it was just called Yu-Gi-Oh! For the sake of being called Yu-Gi-Oh! But no.
Yeah, same. I mean, I don't know. It just sounds like it's made up, isn't it? Like,
it's just his character's name's Yugi, and it's just like, you never questioned this thing. You just never questioned it as a kid or whatever. I certainly didn't.
I mean, you did, and then no one ever had the answer, so you just sort of gave up.
Yeah. I mean, arguably with like Pokemon and Digimon, you would easily get that answer. You'd be like, oh yeah, digital monsters, pocket monsters. But even then, pocket monsters wasn't the thing I clocked onto for a while.
Oh, I knew for quite a while, but I think that's because someone told me when I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, cool, that's cool." Like, it's literally just one of those where you didn't
you just
care.
find out at some point. Yeah, that's it. You're a kid at that point. You're just like, yeah, what, sure, whatever. But yeah, like this is one thing, because obviously I imagine, like, correct me if I'm wrong, that both of us, the intro to Yu-Gi-Oh! For us was the anime series.
Yeah.
That 4Kids did, yeah? You had the same experience.
Well, I think I was introduced a little bit before that.
Yeah.
Do you remember here in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
the off license or the local corner store
Yeah.
would sell cards? Like trading cards,
Yeah.
they sell the official ones, but somehow everybody always came across these knockoff cards. The ones that come with the hard little bubble
Yeah.
gum, you know, that fucking rock solid white chewing gum.
I remember the one, because they did Dragon Ball cards as well.
Yeah.
It was the same company that did random Dragon
Literally,
Ball cards, which
it
are
was.
awful, yeah.
So right after the Dragon Ball cards fizzled out, somebody in my class came in with these new cards.
Yeah.
And was like, guys, there's this new one. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! Look at these, they're so cool. And then, like, literally the entire school was buying these 10 to 20p packets of cards that came with the shitty bubble gum,
yeah.
and then the anime was on TV.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember me and my entire class. I wasn't the one who instigated before anyone says anything, but I remember one kid came into our class with the official cards.
Okay, yeah.
And because the whole school had the fake ones, we turned around and we were like, those are fake. What are you bringing in fake cards for? Get out of here with those.
That poor kid.
Yeah. But the irony being, I think literally a day later, my mom takes me to a store,
Yeah.
buys me a pack of official cards, and I realized by the price difference and the quality of card that I was like, oh no. Oh god. As a kid, I realized what we'd done, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We just picked on a kid for the real thing, and we're all wrong. But I never told anyone in my class I had real cards, like the proper ones, because I did not want to get screwed at like the other kid did.
Oh man, y'all just like went in on it. Oh, okay, fair. My experience is a little bit different, because I didn't realize what Yu-Gi-Oh was until the anime came on TV. And even then, like, even with those knockoff cards you were talking about, I only really got them like after I knew about the anime.
Oh, okay, fair.
Even then, I think I actually bought an official pack of cards before I bought knockoffs. However, the official pack of cards that I bought were Japanese ones, because they sold them in game randomly.
What? That's so weird.
So at one point, before like all the structure decks came out and all the booster packs and stuff came out in English, they sold the Japanese packs in game.
Wow. Okay, I didn't even know that.
So I ended up having like Judge Man as a card, just in Japanese.
Really?
randomly. Yeah, and I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this is like, because obviously in the anime as well, it's literally just massive pictures, and you
Yep.
got the attack and defense and the star points and stuff. And literally that was all. That was it. So I was like, this looks really different from the anime. What the hell's up with this? And then you'd soon realize that when the actual card comes out in English, it's even more different from the Japanese one, because the attack and defense points are like slightly on the right on the Japanese ones, but they're at the bottom on the English ones. So yeah, I was like, oh, okay, fair, because I ended up getting Yugi and Kaiba's structure decks.
I did too.
You got those as well, and I got Joey and Pegasus's ones as well.
I also got Joey's one. I didn't get Pegasus though. I wanted Pegasus.
I had all the cards, but I like some kids stole them from me when I brought them into school once.
Oh,
But I kept my shinies at home that day, so I don't know where they are. I'm pretty sure I haven't sold them, or I might have done. But I still had like the shiny Blue Eyes White Dragon, the original Dark Magicians from those structure decks, like relinquished.
I still have those.
I'm sure I haven't sold them, but I don't know where they are. Like, I even started like rebuilding my deck, because was it Nightmare Troubadour, the DS game, was out, and I played that to death. I put so many hours into that game, and I formed my own deck full of like monsters that I loved, and like all special effects and stuff like that. And it was only until I got into uni when I started actually getting money, like from jobs and that, which I was like, I might start building my deck in real life from Nightmare Troubadour, and I kind of did. And then I forgot about it, because I started off with buying the cheap cards that were like 25p. So I was like, that's easy, I can own that.
Yeah.
And then it slowly got to cards which are like, this is £10. And I'm like, I don't really want to spend £10 on a single card right now. Bear in mind, I was making money, but I wasn't making that kind of money where I'd be throwing down 50 quid on cards randomly. So that kind of fizzled out. I got a lot of my easy to get cards, but the harder ones end up being a bit more different when I tried to build my deck. So I don't know where that is now. No clue where that is now.
I I just realized we're like almost 10 minutes in and we haven't explained why we're even doing this episode.
Mm.
Like we 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 just started talking about Yu-Gi-Oh just for the hype of it's Yu-Gi-Oh, right? But
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, yeah, there is a timely situation around this, I guess. Yeah.
we decided to like we've had the idea we wanted to do some sort of Yu-Gi-Oh content anyway. Like we wanted to make an episode,
Yeah.
but it seemed, I don't want to say fitting because it kind of has a bad connotation with what I'm about to say.
It's appropriate, basically. We felt
It
like it was kind of like due to Kazuki Takahashi's passing.
untimely passing, yes.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where like we've been lifelong fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! The original series more than GX and all those. So I've never really got into the later series. But original Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously, like from where the manga started, or the games, the card games, like the anime, everything. We've both been fans of this series.
Yeah. It shaped quite a lot of our childhood.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we thought it was only the most appropriate to do what we're tentatively calling sort of like a memorial episode, paying respects to the man who created Yu-Gi-Oh, his franchise, his legacy, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I actually don't know what would have filled my time from that time period. Like that was like a solid 4 years of my life that I
I
was
remember that, yeah.
obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like that's from like the age of like 10 to 14. I think I was on Yu-Gi-Oh, so it's quite a long time.
Yeah, I remember it was my Saturday morning show. Like I remember like what, because you remember it was on Sky, weren't it?
Yeah.
On TV, and it would be that and Pokemon. I just used to just watch those two. I'd get up on the Saturday morning, watch my Yu-Gi-Oh, watch my Pokemon, and then there would be some other random stuff on. But like yeah, like Yu-Gi-Oh was just a solid, like it was like one of my favorite shows. Like it was so freaking cool, and it was like card games, monsters, all sorts, and it's so like imaginative.
I mean, also like at the time it was the first thing that ever made like playing card games like super cool. Like that was the whole point of the show. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it wasn't. It evolved into Duel Monsters because Duel Monsters were super popular,
yeah.
right? Do you know what I mean? Like everything else was like it's kind of like how Beyblade sort of did the same thing, you know, like no one ever thought of a spinning top until that anime came out to sell us all the toys.
it's a very smart concept of show, really, because obviously it's tapping into what a kid's gonna love. Oh, it's something they can also interact with. So the show is on, but they can also own these things as well
Yeah.
and play them. There's actually rules to this game. Bear in mind, you watch the anime as a kid, you think you can just play the way they play it, and suddenly you're
Oh,
like
mate, don't
summoning like what was it, the stone soldier to just fucking stab the moon and then erase all of your opponent's monsters. It doesn't work like that in the real game,
don't
unfortunately.
get me started. I was one of the only kids like in my group that read the rule book.
Oh,
Because you know with the structure deck, it came with the rule book, right?
yeah, it did, yeah.
So I actually sat and read some of it. And I remember I went around a friend's house and him and his neighbor were like, "Oh, you like Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well?" I was like, yeah, of course. I got my deck with me as well.
Yeah.
And they were all like, "Oh, cool, let's duel. Do a three-way duel, right?"
Yeah, already. Like, three-way duel is already a bad start because...
Well, it's a bad start, but it gets worse because they went, "Oh, do you play a lot?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I play all the time."
Yeah.
So then it quickly went from a free-for-all to a 2v1.
Oh, okay.
And I quickly learned both of them had never even played an official game.
It's your official
They
game,
played
yeah.
with those home TV rules. My friend had learned from his
Yeah.
neighbor, and his neighbor had never read the rule book.
No, yeah.
So we start, and I'm putting down 4-star monsters, and immediately one of these other guys tries to slap down Dark Magician, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they were like, "What do you mean?" I was like, you can't do that. You got to sacrifice 2 monsters." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "The rules say you need to sacrifice 2 4-star or less monsters to bring out a 6 or higher." And they were like, "Is it? That's not how we play." I'm like, "That's how everyone else plays."
Well, apart from the anime people, that's the one thing.
Okay, except the anime. But the worst part was after that, a few days later, my friend told me, "Yeah, my neighbor doesn't play anymore. You ruined it for him."
You ruined some kid's experience.
Basically, because this kid was teaching other kids how to play, so he was getting enjoyment from winning because he was essentially making up the rules.
Screw the rules, I have money.
Yeah, right? So then when I come along and slap him with the official rules, I just killed the game for him and he just gave up.
And just killed the hype for the kid.
I literally did, apparently.
Yeah.
I also won that 2v1 duel because, let's face it, I was playing against 2 amateurs who didn't even know the real rules.
So you're teaching the rules as you go, and obviously, yeah, if you know the rules over somewhere, it becomes so much more complicated once you realize, oh wait, there's actually limitations on what I can play.
Well, yeah, because their deck was also just like a bunch of monster cards because they were playing by home rules.
You just wouldn't, yeah.
These homebrew rules, so they were just slapping down monsters constantly, like, "Oh, look at these fight," and I'm like, "No, that's not how you play."
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I always used to collect the cards. I never really played against many people.
I used to play all the time.
I like, even with Pokemon kind of thing. I like
Pokemon,
cards,
I was always just collecting. That was never to play.
No, I think it was only until, as I said, Nightmare Troubadour, where I actually started like getting into the playing of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like before then, it was just collecting and enjoying the series for what it was.
Fair.
So there'd be like effect cards which I really weren't interested in. The cards I used to collect that I really sought out were monster cards that look cool, like that I love from the anime. Like for example, Gate Guardian, for example, was one of my favorite monster cards. Like even though it is a horrendous one to try and summon in the actual game because you have to have what is it, Tsukijin, Kazujin, and
Yeah.
I can't remember the third one.
I don't remember the last one. Let's just make it up.
Yeah, I can't remember either. That other third one, but yeah, you needed 3 of them to summon Gate Guardian. Even then, he was like a monster of 3,700 attack, I believe. It's so much easier to summon something like Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah.
Granted, it has less attack points, but you only need to sacrifice 2 random monsters for that.
Or if you're like, depends on the era of cards as well, but like,
yeah.
I used to have a Kaiser Horseman.
Oh yeah.
And that was it had a special effect where it counted as 2 sacrifices if you were summoning another light monster, which Blue Eyes is.
Oh yeah.
So like in that sense, you know, it'd be even easier to get something like Blue Eyes out.
Yeah.
Instead of things like Gate Guardian or...
I mean, there's even cards right now, like, I believe it's Ancient Rules, I believe, which lets you just summon a monster straight off. Like, you don't even need to sacrifice for it. You can just, like, literally throw it down and be like, yep, there we go.
Dang.
Here's the Blue Eyes, like, out like that. But I learned that from playing Legacy of the Duelist on Switch and PlayStation.
first proper like Yu-Gi-Oh video game I played
Mm-hmm.
was funny enough World Championship 2004 on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh right, yeah, I never really got into those ones.
The best part of that game was it was the first one ever, to my knowledge, that allowed you to type in the serial code on the card,
Yes.
and then you just had it, right? You didn't have to play the game to earn any points or anything, so you could just build your deck from real life in the game and
Yeah.
just have it there, like construct it.
It's a cool thing to have, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it because I played like the whole game, and that was the same Christmas that I got a massive head start in collecting the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've told Pepe this story before, and like people don't tend to believe me,
Mm-hmm.
but I swear it happened. So basically, in the UK, we have this store called Argos. You know, in the 90s, 2000s, a lot of us kids bought everything from there.
Yeah, it's kind of dying. It's dying off now, but yeah, like
Yeah.
Argos was like you'd get the catalog and just run through it as a kid, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I want that, I want that, I want that."
It was the best place, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, one day I convinced my mom to buy me some Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Mm-hmm.
We go in and they were selling a 3-pack, right? 3 booster packs for like 10 quid or something. Managed to convince my mom that's pretty good price, yeah?
Okay, yeah, decent enough.
Put in the order, wait for it. The guy calls us over and literally slaps a booster box in front of us. The entire box. And we thought he meant just take the 3 packs out.
Right.
And so we went to do that. And then he looked at us funny. And my mum was like, do we give this back to you? And he was like, what do you mean? That's yours. And then we sort of stood there looking at each other like, is he serious? Like, what's actually going on here? We're not stealing,
What
are
was
we?
it? Right. Okay.
And he literally, I mean, he was probably a Christmas temp. So it was some teenager who really did not care.
Oh, okay.
And he just was like, yeah, that's yours. And we walked off and we took it. We went.
Wow. Okay, so it's next level.
Yeah, that Christmas, I opened an entire booster box.
That's incredible.
Dude, I went from having like 2 structure decks and like maybe
Yeah.
20 cards of my own from booster packs to just having like hundreds of cards.
Mate, that's like mad. Like, honestly, that would have lost the store so much. Like that would have lost the store so much.
I know,
because obviously,
right?
what is it? That like it's £5 for a normal pack of cards anyway.
Yeah, and they were selling it, let's say conservatively, they
It's
were
a 3
selling
for
it
2, yeah.
3 for, let's say, £12 or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Still, you know, you're still saving a little bit of money, but
yeah. It's nothing major, is it? Like,
yeah.
but that's the thing. It's a whole freaking booster box, really, and that is so much. That's so much.
Yeah, and we got that for the price of 3 and never looked back.
I mean, you would like that's the store's error at the end of the day. Like, I'm not advocating this sort of thing, but like you can be a good Samaritan if you wanted to and be like, no. But the guy was insisting, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you can do. Like,
We did try. We were like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, whatever. Okay.
very lucky.
Merry Christmas to
Oh,
me.
man. I mean, that's a sick Christmas, man. Yeah, fair play. Oh, mate, I'm quite jealous of that. Yeah.
I know, right? That was the best. And I still have all of those cards somewhere in my house,
Yeah.
along with my dual disc, my OG dual disc.
Oh, I have a dual disc as well. I bought mine in America though when I was about 10 or 11. I got a dual disc from but I had it. I got it from America before it was released in the UK. So I got this
Oh.
thing probably about a year or so.
That means you were like the coolest person for a year.
No matter how many dual discs I had, Nathan, or how many cards I was never a cool kid. I'll tell you that.
Okay, well you weren't going in the right circles,
I just
man.
owned cool stuff. Like at the time, like honestly, you'd look back at some of the stuff that I had as a kid, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, that's so freaking cool." But
Yeah,
at the
back
time, you're just a
then-
kid with like some really geek. It's like the equivalent of buying a whole bunch of Fortnite merch. Like in this day and age, you're like, "Hey, I've got all this stuff," and like realistically, at the time, other people just be like, you looking at you like, "Okay." That's the thing, nice. But now looking back at it, it's like, hey, that's actually quite sick. Like you should honestly though, you should see because I'm recording in my office right now. You should see how much Yu-Gi-Oh stuff I actually have around my office.
It's a bit ridiculous. It's
So
honestly
just
a bit crazy.
just a bit of context. I'm sitting right here right now, and I'm looking at 3 different pieces of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff that I bought in the past year. First thing, I have a Ulti Gear Millennium Puzzle. So you know the guys that do the Gundams and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like it's basically a build your own Millennium Puzzle, and it is the most difficult thing I've ever done. I could not comprehend what the hell I was doing with it.
I've also seen all of this stuff in person,
Yeah.
so I can confirm he is not lying.
It is real, and this like honestly, this like Millennium Puzzle is so freaking. It's so cool to actually own a Millennium Puzzle as well. I always wanted to as a kid, and it is like a life size thing. It's got a hole where you can kind of put it around your neck if you really wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it because when you drop this thing, it will guarantee you shatter into pieces.
And so will your soul along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be so disappointed with that. But yeah, that's the first thing that I have. The second thing is a more recent purchase. It is something called. It's been out for a couple years, I believe, but it's actual physical Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's Yugi's legendary decks that he's used in the anime.
Okay.
So there's one from the Duelist Kingdom, one from Battle City, and then one from the last arc where he was with his last battle.
Okay, well these are like probably the newest edition, so I haven't actually seen
Yeah.
these.
Also, yeah, literally, I bought this like about a couple weeks ago because it was on sale on from Magic Warehouse. I can't remember exactly, Magic Madhouse, something like that. Wherever it was cheap, it was like 25 quid, and I was like, mate, you get like all these, you get all the god cards with it, you get like tokens, you get like actually I showed you a picture of it, didn't I?
Yeah.
It was,
I mean the god cards like that. I'm
Yeah.
jelly. Oh mate, I'm so envious.
I mean, you've got Exodia in there. You've got like all these like cards from the anime Yugi's decks, and it's so freaking cool. They have another legendary decks box where it's Yugi, Kaiba, and Joey's decks.
Ooh, I could have more blue eyes.
That one, like Kaiba's one, has 3 blue eyes white dragons in it. Like it actually has 3 of them.
I mean, so does my deck.
Yeah,
From 2 different Kaiba structure
Yeah.
decks.
Oh god, yeah, because we own the other ones as well, didn't we? That's cool. But yes, I've got that, and I think probably one of my most prized possessions I absolutely love. It's from a company called Hypeland, and it is a massive Millennium Puzzle cushion that I own, and it is literally about this size. It's the size of my monitor.
Huge. That thing is
so
massive.
huge. Like I'm just having it sat on my desk. I'm not actually using it to like, I don't know, relax or anything. I don't want to like sleep on this thing because it looks so cool, man. I'm so happy to own this thing.
I mean, the irony being that you put it on your desk and it's probably the most awkward / cumbersome desk ornament.
Yeah, oh absolutely. This thing is like it takes up a lot of the space. I was struggling for a while to think, where can I put this? Where does this go best? But it actually is like it sits in the corner, like so it gives like I got a whole little like blank space behind it, but the cushion fills up really nicely. So
Yeah, you have weirdly been on a big Yu-Gi-Oh buy again. Not in terms of like
absolutely
just cards,
yeah.
but like in a lot of just stuff.
Yeah, I bought a Blue Eyes White Dragon pendant as well.
I saw that. That was cool.
It's a silver one. That's from a place called Line Art Pendants as well. They're like really like kind of like small time business, like, but they do engraving and that. They do custom engravings as well. And I just saw this pop up and like I was like, I want this. This looks so freaking cool.
That is cool because it's the OG art as well, which is also
Yeah.
my favorite Blue Eyes card. I only have one of those from the original structure deck, which I think if mine wasn't so tatty, it would probably be worth some money.
I mean,
Because I swear those are actually at one point those were worth quite a lot.
I think it depends. Like I think like back in the day, they would have been worth a lot if you pulled it from a pack. I feel the structure decks are obviously more ready available, kind of thing. So
Yeah, but that's the irony is that I think at one point now the one from the structure deck is the one that's actually worth money.
yeah, because it is rarer now. Because obviously, like at the time, the structure deck ones. I don't even know how much normal Blue Eyes would cost at this point
I
that you
don't
pull
know.
from a boost. That would be even more, surely. You'd think anyway.
I don't know. I that's the thing. I don't know because one I don't have one, so I wouldn't look into it. But like
Yeah.
2, you're right. It must have been like more than that.
And if it's in good condition, like imagine getting that shit graded, man. That is like insane.
That'd be mad.
No, I've been. I have like you're right though. I have been on a mad Yu-Gi-Oh. I bought a lot of clothing recently that is Yu-Gi-Oh related as well. Like I found like some ASOS designs for Yu-Gi-Oh stuff which I've been wearing. There's again Hypeland. I bought a couple t-shirts from them, hoodies and stuff. God, yeah, like it's just there. And the thing is, I absolutely love Yugi's character design as well. It's like it's so over the top anime protagonist, but I absolutely love it.
I mean, it is like the most anime of anime.
Absolutely. Like you can try and copy. There's only like like copies of like what could be Yugi's hairstyle at this point. You'll have other card game animes which are trying to replicate the whole like over the top anime hairstyle. And realistically, Yugi's is iconic. That is an iconic look.
Yeah, he's the OG. Like, come on now,
Oh man.
mate.
But yeah, that's like my Yu-Gi-Oh spending spree at the moment. Okay, I will say this as well. Is when you were talking about GBA games and some of the first ones we played in that.
Oh, I swear, if this is going where I think it's going, this
You
is gonna
know
be
for a fact
amazing.
where it's going. I've talked about it before. I think it's been in our top handheld games of all time.
Yeah. Oh yes. Okay. All
And
right. Yeah,
you know
boy.
where this is going. Fucking Dungeon Dice Monsters, motherfucker.
Oh, bro.
Like
Bro,
honestly,
I still have some of those minifigures from that game.
no, that freaking like honestly, this like we won't go. I'll try not to go too much in detail, but we couldn't do a Yu-Gi-Oh episode without us mentioning this. But yeah, like I always say, like Dungeon Dice Monsters, one of the things that everyone hates in the anime, and it's like it was just this random bit like, well, go back to the actual card game stuff. But no, Dungeon Dice Monsters was the games actually like that Game Boy Advance game is still like to this day one of my favorite.
That Game Boy Advance game was sick, but like it's also people might have hated it in the anime, but like for some reason, like in real life, that concept is just so cool.
Yeah.
Somehow cooler than like Duel Monsters, and I don't know why.
It's the funny thing is with Dungeon Dice Monsters is that the rules are actually so much that's so user friendly. This is the one thing because you just know like you got your like it's basically the same thing. You've got your like deck of like the equivalent. You got dice pool, haven't you? That's what it is.
Yeah.
You got your dice pool of like about it's 15 different dice in total, I believe. Is it 15 different dice? I think so.
I can't remember.
Yeah, because it's like and like it's majority monster based this one, so you do have effect dice, but realistically, this is more monsters rather than traps and effects. Like you can get like the treasure chests, which will like activate warp holes or like bombs and stuff like that.
But it's really about your monsters and like your attack, your movement, defense.
Yeah, keeping your defense. I always had a good strategy when it came to Dungeon Dice Monsters. I would always have like my defense monsters at the back, and then I'd slowly build my way up, like a little pathway using level 2 monsters to get to the opponent's side. But
interesting. Okay.
I always had a strategy there, and man, it's just such a kind of, like realistically in real life, the whole Dungeon Dice Monsters concept never took off, and understandably why. It was a lot, and they were charging too much for everything.
It was free to play mechanics before free to play it was ever a thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Though.
It was just microtransactions, the real life game.
Like honestly, the amount you'd pay, I think it's like £10 for like 2 dice or something like that.
Well, it was either that or it was like you had to buy the paths.
You don't have that's the thing, the paths didn't come with the dice. This is when you'd buy the dice and you get the monster and the little minifigure, but you'd never get extra paths.
No, I remember you had to buy the paths separately.
Oh god.
But then you could also buy the little figurines separately, but each figurine was about £5 each.
It's too much, right? Like that's the thing with a pack of cards. At least you're getting like some like you're getting about what is it? 8 to
probably 8 to 10 cards. Like
yeah, like at least you're getting like quite a few. With that, it's literally just one monster, and you don't even get like it's a random thing as well. It's like you don't even know what monster you're getting. 4 or 5 quid.
Well, it depends on the place you went. Like
I got mine from Argos.
Oh, see, I went into Toys R Us.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Or like some of the other toy stores where you could actually physically see which one it was. So for my £5,
really,
it wasn't so much that I was just playing gacha.
Yeah, mine was literally gacha for 5, expensive gacha. So I was like, ugh. It sullied my experience completely. Yeah, but no, the Game Boy game was amazing. My first ever Yu-Gi-Oh game that I bought though, or that I received as a present was the PlayStation 1 Forbidden Memories.
Oh, I bought that secondhand in game for £5.
Yeah, I got it for Christmas one year, and
that was not good.
I never actually understood it. This is the one thing. I was trying to play through it, and I was just like, I don't understand what is going on right now.
That's the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh games, though. A lot of them, and I do mean a lot of them back in the day, were trash.
Yeah.
Because it was overly complicated. And they also started you with the worst cards. And then you had to try and figure out how to get better cards.
Yeah.
but you could never figure out. It was like try to win these duels with these shit cards, which would have taken you forever,
It was such a grind.
or give up. And more often than not, I just gave up
It was too much, yeah.
because they were crap.
Like that's the thing, because they'd always have like about your strongest card would have like 1,000 attack and no effects on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the fuck am I supposed? And you literally like that's the thing. I remember getting a Game Boy Advance game. I think it was Reshef of Darkness or something like that. I probably butchered the name of it.
I don't know that one.
Probably before the 2006 one released or after the 2006 one released.
Okay.
But it was just like, I think it was actually before. It was just so hard. I was like trying to play anything because it's one of those, I think the storyline, I didn't get very far in it at all, but you're your own character and you meet Rebecca of all people. You know that I think she's like a filler character out of it, funny enough.
Yeah, she is, isn't she? That whole arc is filler, isn't it?
Yeah, like what was it? Oh yeah, like what happened to my blue eyes white dragon? And like Grandpa's like, oh, it's torn in half, and Yugi's like, I will show Rebecca how the heart of the cards is.
Yeah, the whole last arc is filler, I swear.
The last arc.
Oh wait, sorry, that's the second to last one, isn't it? The whole
No, yeah. Oh, that's the second. Yeah, Rebecca's what is like that was in between Duelist Kingdom and Battle City.
yeah, I think all that stuff is filler.
Yeah. It was just like what is. So it was a bit meh. But yeah, she's like the first one you play against in Rochelle, and she was defeating me every freaking time because I had shit cards and I couldn't do anything about it.
Wow, weird.
I was like, okay, yeah, no, I never progressed in that game, even though I had it. It was just like, yeah, you're not doing much with this, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna play this game anymore. I had Supersonic Warriors 1 on the Game Boy at the time, so I was playing that instead, and that was very good.
I was just thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Considering you said you did real life gacha trying to get the figurines for Dungeon Dice Monsters.
Yes.
And considering it's such a big thing, I know Konami is the one that owns the license for the games.
Yes.
So they would destroy you with microtransactions. But why have we not got a mobile gacha game Dungeon Dice Monsters?
This is the one thing, right? Everyone that's played Dungeon Dice Monsters will tell you it's one of the best Game Boy Advance games, arguably one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh games. But I don't think it's got as much eyes on it as I'd like to think.
I figure it doesn't, but at the same time, right? If Yu-Gi-Oh games still have a decent following, and Konami pretty much only runs off of Yu-Gi-Oh and Metal Gear to some extent,
yeah.
Like, then why have they just not put it out? Because the people who would play it would probably hardcore play it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it is literally, with seconds of thought, I'm like, so your monsters are your gacha. You just play against whoever, right? Or each other.
Honestly, man, I'd love that.
You can do PvE or PvP.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't need a story. You can just be like, fight against this character. We made up a whole dice pool for him. And then you earn points or gems or whatever. And then you go and summon your new monster pool or your feature monster of the month or whatever. Why is that not a thing?
Mate, honestly, I'd be 100% behind it. I'd love like Dungeon Dice Monsters to get any representation whatsoever. I'd go for a gacha game. I'd go for like anything, literally anything at this point. It was so fucking cool.
Well, I mean, again, because a gacha game would be the easiest, right?
I think the reason why is because currently there is a Yu-Gi-Oh mobile game out at the moment. I think it's Link Duels, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't know the exact title of it.
Duel Links, I think.
Duel Links, that's it. Duel Links. And that has actually got a decent following as it is.
Well, I mean, it was good enough that it's got like physical cards, isn't it? Like it's a whole subset of the game now.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's there's a Switch game based around it as well.
It's supposed to be like a way faster version as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just something that I have played, but I didn't get into it. Yeah, that's the one thing. I think mainly because I am more accustomed to the longer version of Duel. I can understand. This is one thing as well. Dungeon Dice Monsters, although it's a great game, it does take time to finish a game.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's true.
Like, depending on like how good your opponent is or how lucky you are summoning pathways, like it is something that could be a game between 5 minutes or half an hour.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's what holds it back. I think it is a long thing to do. I guess like it's funny though because obviously there's like Dungeon Dice Monsters one spin-off that Yu-Gi-Oh's had from the past, but you've also had Capsule Monsters as well.
Right. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon,
It is, yeah.
although it's controversial, I thought at least the idea was cool.
I actually really enjoyed Capsule. Cause did you have the PS2 game as well?
There was a PS2 game?
Yeah, there's a Capsule Monsters PS2 game.
What?
The whole concept of Capsule Monsters came from it's the original Yu-Gi-Oh manga. You know, it would be before Duel,
Yeah.
like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist came out. It was just Yu-Gi-Oh! King of Games where like Yugi would just be playing up a whole bunch of games. And Mokuba was originally a villain that didn't play Duel Monsters, but he played Capsule Monsters. And Yugi would like just that it's typical like Yu-Gi-Oh fashion. Oh, I'm not in a good position. However, I have the heart or like power of friendship to guide me through shit. And he beats Mokuba basically. So it is a throwaway part in the manga the early days. But yes, there was a PS2 game for Capsule Monsters.
I didn't know that. Oh man, I
Yeah.
probably would have well liked that game.
It actually is a really good game. I didn't get into it as much as Duel Monsters, only because I hit a wall in the story of Capsule Monsters.
Sounds about right.
And like as a kid, when you hit a wall and you can't be bothered to
Yeah, that's it.
like your motivation goes down, then that's it. You're done. Like, so Capsule Monsters, although it was a good game, I hit a wall with it, and it just did like yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Honestly, like, mate, you could probably, I think you probably could pick up a copy of it for PS2.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna play. I'm not going back to play a PS2 game right now. It's just,
No, it's a lot. It's a lot.
it's painful.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing that exists. It never got much support outside of the game. I don't believe. I don't think there was any physical versions of Capsule Monsters.
No, I don't remember a physical one. But then, how do you turn that into a physical thing? You know what I mean? Like,
It's another thing. I think as well. Like if Dungeon Dice Monsters was something that was already out before Capsule Monsters, then they might have seen that as like we tried with Dungeon Dice Monsters, it didn't work out, and as a bigger part in the anime, Capsule Monsters I don't think was in the anime at all.
yeah, it was.
Was it? Whereabouts was it in the anime? Was it?
That was the virtual world stuff.
Ah, of course it was. Okay, virtual world bit.
So that's why it wasn't big, because people fucking
Yeah.
hated that part of the anime.
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't as big there, and yeah, then what can I tell you? If Dungeon Dice Monsters didn't work out, then this wasn't going to work out either. I think that's probably what they saw, and then
I mean, that would have had a much harder time being like a physical thing than Dungeon Dice Monsters.
yeah, because it would be literally because that's the thing with capsules as well. You'd be putting stuff on a map of all places, and like certain like there'd be certain from what I remember of the game anyway, you'd have certain environments which boost your monster's attack and defense points. And playing through the story, what was it? I think it might have got stuck on Weevil's part or Rex's part, and like there'd be certain pieces of land where like it was dominated in a woodland area, and like he would summon some fucking mad insects and they'd all destroy me. So I was like, okay,
Fair.
I'm not... and realistically in real life, how do you put down a like woodland area? I think it probably could work as a board game, and I imagine
Yeah.
like, I'm not part of the board game community at all. This is one thing I'd love to be more part of it and actually learn some more board games, but it could have potential there. I feel like there could be a potential with Capsule Monster. It would be a long running game. I'd say you probably have to like maybe dedicate maybe 45 minutes to an hour for a game. I mean, there's potential there. There's still potential for it to be a good one.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's past now. I think you'd really have to tap into the hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh viewers, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you just have a easier time just keeping up Duel Monsters.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and like honestly, this is one thing as well. I'm not sure about you, but when I speak about this, but as an original Yu-Gi-Oh fan, I haven't actually got into the whole later rules of playing Yu-Gi-Oh. For example, like pendulum summons, synchro summons, that kind of stuff.
I don't. Synchro summons I sort of understood.
Yeah.
Because I had a younger cousin who was into Yu-Gi-Oh just after we stopped because it went into GX.
Yes.
He had the newer cards. He wanted to play against me. We used to play all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when he synchro summoned, I didn't know that rule set, so I immediately, as you would, be like, "Hey, stop cheating."
It goes back to the whole cheating thing.
Well, again, when when you're an OG player, you know the rules for the OG
Yeah,
game for so long, and then all of a sudden this new mechanic comes in, you've got no idea, right? You're just like, whoa, what are you doing?
yeah,
Don't make shit up. I sort of understood Synchro Summon.
yeah,
That one's a little more like basic, but things like
yeah,
Pendulum and all that other crap that came way after, like I have no idea, man. I don't even
yeah.
know
I
what the
really.
latest Yu-Gi-Oh is.
What in terms of?
Last one I remember was V-Rains, but like I don't even know what the newest anime.
Isn't there one after now? I don't think V Reigns isn't.
I don't know. Like,
It's so hard to keep up because, as I said, like it's been a while since I've actually caught up with any Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, like all the modern stuff. But yeah, like original Yu-Gi-Oh, I've dabbled a bit in GX. I haven't watched a lot of it, but
I watched a tiny bit because of that cousin, and also because like playing with him, he collected the cards, and then so I would trade cards with him, some of my old cards for his new stuff.
yeah,
So like I know some of the newer stuff, and I think I played two of the GX games on PSP.
oh, okay, yeah,
They were all right. They weren't bad. But they also were around the same time where you could still type in the card code from a physical
yeah.
card, but you then needed points, in-game points to
Yeah, okay,
buy that
okay,
specific card.
okay, yeah. So it's a bit more controlled.
And like any like card you typed in was always going to be like thousands of points,
Yeah,
but any duel you won was only hundreds of points at best.
yeah. So you'd have to really like save up if you wanted to do anything with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's say, you want to build your whole 40 card deck. I'm not saying it's going to be several hundreds of thousands, but like,
Mm.
you're going to be playing for a long time just to get your specific deck.
Yeah.
Because I remember I tried to get a Blue Eyes and that was like 8,000 points or something. And I was only winning
Yeah.
200 points a duel. And I was like, I'm never getting that card. I'm never getting my Blue
Yeah,
Eyes.
it's
So,
just like it's like wishful thinking, basically. They probably have more luck of like trying to get in a booster pack at that point, right?
yeah, most likely.
Yeah, man, that's how it be. In terms of Yu-Gi-Oh games, modern ones, I feel like I picked this up again recently. We played it a while ago. You absolutely destroyed me. But it was what we mentioned earlier. It was Legend. God, have I
Legend of the
mentioned this earlier?
Duelist, isn't it?
Legend of the Duelist. Fucking hell, yeah. How did I mention that? I forget it straight away. But yeah, Legend of the Duelist. I originally had it on PS4, and then I got the Switch version.
I've only got the Switch version.
And like honestly, like it's a really fun game for what it is. Like it takes you back to the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, and you can do all sorts of that, and it's really fun. I enjoy it.
I liked it, but trying to play some of the historic duels the way well, like with the cards that were in the show and not your own one,
Yeah.
could not get very far because RNG luck got me every time. And when I say I didn't get far, it's because I keep getting exodied.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the point of where you get into the Battle City stuff, right?
Yeah, I just keep getting exodied, and I'm like, fuck this game. I'm not fucking playing this anymore because fucking Yugi keeps getting the 5 pieces like a little bastard.
Because that's the thing. Because obviously, like when you do, yeah, because that's a flip duel, isn't it? That's when you're Kaiba playing against Yugi. Then
Yep.
yeah, and that is like obviously that's your first duel that you really jump into, and that deck that Yugi has like makes it really easy to get Exodia pieces.
Yep.
And when you play it the first time as Yugi, you're like, oh, that's sick. I summoned Exodia. That's well cool. Like living childhood memories. And then you do it as Kaiba, and you're like, oh,
It's the most
no.
painful thing. Luckily, I've never
Yeah.
been turned 1 though. I've never ever been turned 1
No.
yet, but I'm also never going to give it the chance to turn 1 me.
It's so it's like I don't think I've ever experienced it either, but I've seen videos and it's like, god damn it, man. It's the worst. I played this recently because I think the first time I played through that whole campaign in the in Legacy of the Duelist, whatever, I end up using my own deck to a certain point. So I think it is where, because currently this is what I'm experiencing right now. It's your Pegasus versus Kaiba, right?
Mm-hmm.
And using Pegasus's deck is the most infuriating freaking thing I've ever done, because you have to summon Toon Monsters.
Yeah.
And you need Toon World to summon the Toon Monsters. And meanwhile, Kaiba's just killing everything. And then you're like, okay, I've got to summon this Blue Eyes Toon Dragon to actually do anything with it. And then it's just like aggravating to try and do this strategy. And like the thing is, right, I loved like Pegasus was one of my favorite characters as a kid because he was evil and he was like so freaking camp and he'd be like sending people to Shadow Realm and shit. But it was just like playing his deck now, I'm just like, this is the most infuriating thing. How is this man like, what is it, one of the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh like champions or whatever? It's such an awful deck.
Well, he was only a champion because isn't he the inventor of Duel Disc? Not Duel Disc, sorry, Duel Monsters. Like,
And he was cheating with his freaking Millennium
well,
Eye.
yeah, that too. But like, he's like the inventor of the game in the franchise. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm the best player. And it's like, well, that's a bit of a cheat, isn't it?
Yeah, because you own all the fucking cards.
Yeah.
And even then, you own all the fucking cards, you still chose a shit deck to go for. Oh.
I've always liked the look of Pegasus's deck,
Yeah.
but I've never once had the urge to be like, you know what I want to do? Toon monsters.
No.
Mainly because I'm like, my God, this whole deck seems painful.
It is absolutely like, oh, it is just a thing. I like that. So I think I hit a wall with that. I think I'll keep trying. I keep trying. I think I might actually done it. And then I was like, okay, I'm so relieved. I'm going to switch the game off because I'm just done.
I mean, like, the only reason I didn't carry on with that game is like in every game you wanna recreate the deck you have in real life.
Yeah.
And it's just that my deck is such a jumble of GX and original Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And such specific cards
Mm.
that it's really hard. And I've got terrible RNG luck.
Yeah.
So like it's just impossible for me to do anything. And that's why I often give up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Games because I'm just like, I guess I'll just wait until the one day one of my mates wants to go down memory lane and challenges me in real life.
Well, this is a thing, Nathan. At some point, like I think it's in a couple weeks' time, we're gonna be in person with Wilder Beast Plays, and I've got this Yugi's iconic decks, right? And the plan is we will play Duel Monsters with this. We'll try and do a three-way duel as well. We'll try and do this.
I'm kind of scared though that like I remember my deck being pretty decent when I was a kid,
Yeah.
but I only played against a handful of people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how good it's actually gonna be.
Bring your deck, but we'll like obviously I'm gonna have to use these Yugi ones, so like like we'll try to, because there's 3 decks here and there's 3 of us, so hopefully it's all good. This is the thing with my Nightmare Troubadour deck, because that's the game like apart from Dungeon Dice Monsters that I've spent the most time on, and like I created a deck in that game which was so freaking cool. Like I had it perfected. I was like, yeah, this is sick. I'm like winning at all duels or whatever, and then I think I may have like missed a couple of like cards from it, and like I'm suddenly getting beaten all over the place. I beat the AI in Legend of the Duelist quite simply. But then when I played against you with the fucking basic deck, it was losing. I was like, why am I losing? What is happening here? What is this? I had like all my monsters planned out, and I still think, like, bear in mind, I played against another one of my mates, our mates, and he built a frog deck. And like it's infuriating. He's actually formed a deck around certain monsters, like how you're supposed to play it. You don't load it with your favorite monsters from the anime. You don't load it with a dark magician and like several blue eyes white dragons or whatever.
Wow, call me out, bro.
No, but realistically, like I think professional Yu-Gi-Oh players do definitely have themed decks or better decks.
Yeah, I mean, I made mine back when I was fucking like 15. Like
yeah, exactly.
That was the last time I ever did anything with it. Like
I had a Slife of the Sky Dragon in my Nightmare Troubadour deck, and I've heard like from multiple people that apparently is one of the worst cards. Like any Egyptian god card is like the worst card you can have in your deck because it's so pointless. But I was like, I want it from the anime. I want this thing.
I used to have Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in my deck.
Oh, that is like, I mean, if you can summon it, like.
The thing is, I managed to summon it. I've got a few ways of summoning multiple Blue Eyes, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, I realized my cousin keeps killing this ultimate dragon. What is the point? I'm sacrificing 3,000 monsters for 4,500. What? Why?
It really isn't worth. And that's the thing. If you had all the Blue Eyes White Dragons on the field at the same time, if you're somehow able to summon them all, that's like 9,000 life points.
Exactly. And again,
damage you could...
like I said, I did it a few times because I've got ways of doing it, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm just getting rid of like powerhouses to get this one fucking stupid thing.
Yeah, slightly more powerful monster that really isn't worth it. Really isn't.
It's 3 of them combined, but it's somehow only slightly better than one of them.
I think the only way you can probably make a benefit of doing that is probably like obviously sacrificing all using the polymerization, so they go into the graveyard, and you somehow bring them back onto the field using a Monster Reborn or some other tactics
Yeah.
or magic card. So the best combination you could possibly had is a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon followed by 3 other Blue Eyes White Dragons on the field, like just everywhere dragons.
It's not I did used to have a heavy dragon focus deck
Yeah.
because at one point I had 5-headed dragon,
Oh right, okay.
and that was great. It was cool to have the card, but that was also sacrificing 3 blue eyes, a red eyes black dragon, and a random dragon card. And I was like, I'm giving up quite a lot here.
Yeah.
I could have used just 5 regular dragons. So I'm like, no, my expensive ones. That's what I'm using.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that completely. Like that's the thing. I owned a perfectly ultimate great moth, and I was like, yeah, this is cool because again, like Weevil was like weirdly one of my favorite characters in the anime as well. But then I realized you have to have so many other cards to actually summon perfectly ultimate great moth. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I need to put more money into this, and that's too much. So again, that's I end up collecting it. So that's how it be.
Fair.
I feel like one thing I have to mention as well is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge series. I don't know if you ever watched that at all.
Oh, of course I did, man.
Yeah, it was so freaking cool. Like Little Karibo, like honestly, I go back to those episodes sometimes. I watch them. It's so freaking hilarious. Like it's very much at its time. It's those Bridge series are very much like they peaked in like was it late 2000s, early
Yeah.
2010s kind of like it peaked around then. And arguably I still think that the episodes that Little Karibo does put up every now and then, like few and far between, I think those episodes are still good, but obviously it's so much that has to come with it now, like with all the licensing stuff. And I can only imagine, yeah, like I don't expect any more abridged episodes from definitely not Dragon Ball at this point, because Team 4 staff said there's no more episodes.
Yeah, well, they said there's no more episodes, but it's like you said, in it, like in the current landscape, there's abridging just can't exist anymore.
No.
You're trying to make money off the back of another company, and they're wise to it now, so they're like, no, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah.
We're not allowing you to do any of that.
No.
It is a shame because like Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, that's like one of the OGs, I feel like.
Incredible. I could easily keep going back to episodes for that. It's so good.
Yeah, like I love watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. It's so funny. Little Karibo was killing it.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame that, it's gotten to this point where it almost can't exist.
It's yeah, it's impossible. But I feel like I had to like at least give a shout out to that, because I think like but back in the day it was so freaking good. It is
I know, right? Like
the moment you used to do songs as well, like some of the songs that both like Team 4 Star put out songs as well related to it.
dude, I remember I used to have one of his parody songs on my playlist, like way
Oh,
back
yeah.
when. Yeah. It was his parody of Eminem.
Without Yugi. Oh my god, yes. I have that. I have that. I imported
That was
I
so
imported onto my
good.
Spotify playlist like the other day. Literally, because I was like, oh, I can add all my files onto it. And I was like, oh, Without Yugi's here, incredible. I was like,
Yeah, right.
oh, man.
That's a blast for the past. Like I actually still have memories of like you and me driving around in my car
Yeah.
and then just blasting that out.
It's because I had Joey's part of the and there's yeah 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 cards. Oh, it's so good. I absolutely love that.
I haven't actually listened to that song in ages. I might go listen to that in a bit.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, like that was a parody and a half.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Is there any other Yu-Gi-Oh bits you want to mention at all?
I feel like I'm missing something. It does actually feel like I'm missing something. But
I mean, yeah, there's
at the same time, maybe another episode.
absolutely. I feel like there's so many other things you haven't touched on, like movies, for example. There's that, like,
Oh yeah, wow, yeah, we didn't even talk about the movie.
yeah. I mean, movies technically, is like,
Or the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged version of the movie.
yeah. Well, technically, there's 3 movies, isn't there? Because there's Pyramid of Light, there's Dual Dimensions, and then there's what's that third one that like it actually kind of goes back to? Can't remember what it's called.
The Dark Side of Dimensions.
Oh, is that one? Oh yeah, was it? I think the other one was Yu-Gi-Oh 3D, weren't it? Where it was just like that's all
Ah.
combined. But yeah, there's 3 movies out anyway. But we didn't touch on any of them. But yeah, like as Nathan said earlier, like this whole episode was basically it was to talk about how great Yu-Gi-Oh was part of our childhoods basically, and that was brought to us from Kazuki Takahashi. And like honestly, the man is an icon and always will be an icon for creating this series.
Thank you, Takahashi-san. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Yeah, man. But yeah, on that note, Nathan, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notified, and check us out on podcast platforms. We got the links in the description, and we'll catch you next time. Good enough?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Right. The silence there, I was like, wait, is he going to say something else? Because there's a bit of... Was he expecting me to say bye? Anyway, bye.
Bye.